I don't think we have to worry about losing Buddhism as we move beyond Buddhism. I think that's a fear or a clinging. And if we use the triangle, I think it's a really good element. So we've got over here on the left side of the triangle, the base of the triangle, we've got tradition, and we've got form, and we've got beliefs, and as a Buddhist. So we have Buddhist traditions, we have Buddhist rituals, and that's all well and good, and it's a beautiful way to carry on the tradition, and it's an absolute necessity to have a context and a container for it. What very few people, though, I think, reach is the other side of the triangle, which is freedom from tradition, and freedom from the form, and freedom from all this that is so important over here. And without that freedom from the apex, we wouldn't have an apex. But once we have the freedom from and the form and the tradition, then we have the freedom to constantly change the tradition, which is a very basic part of Buddhism. Buddhism always has changed and transformed from culture to culture. And we don't have the fear of losing the tradition as the tradition is manifesting in new and improved ways. And I do believe that we can improve on the tradition. I think great masters like Rinzai or Linshi in Chinese said, you know, if you think that those masters of old were so great and and all of us are so pathetic in this day and age, you're missing the point. That we are constantly evolving, and that the Buddhist tradition has evolved from culture to culture, from India to China to Tibet to Japan to Korea to the West, and it's going to continue to evolve. And I think if you look at the basis of Buddhism, you've got what you call the three treasures or the three gems, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. You can look at that as again, the triangle, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And I think in the West, what we're going to contribute to the evolution of Buddhism is the whole notion of the apex, the Sangha. Because what has been strong, and very strong, but it's been a monastic tradition, basically Buddhism, has always been a monastic tradition. What's been very strong is the Buddha side and the Dharma side, the form. But what has been very weak is the community, or the apex of Buddha Dharma. And that, I think, is going to be our contribution in this millennium and in the West. So we're going to contribute something to Buddhism, and I don't think we need to cling too much to old notions and old ideas. We can evolve, and we can move forward too.
Well, one of the hallmarks of Buddhist evolution, at least it seems to me, looking from the outside in, is how Buddhism has adapted itself uniquely to each and every culture that it's touched. And our Western culture is the most unique of all because it's the most distant from the origin of the culture from which Buddhism sprang. So I happened to, in my brief 2-minute telephone conversation with Bob Thurman, I did mention that, isn't this a phenomena that is worth encouraging? And he certainly acknowledged that it is unique and it is important. So we'll see how he's going to fuse.
Yeah. I want to say one thing that we don't realize. We think that this is one of the major leaps of Buddhism from Asia to America, but actually from India to China was as big a leap, because there's no two cultures as diverse in the world as India and China. And so that was a huge leap right there.
And yet it really didn't take in India. I mean,
it died out. It didn't take,
which is I don't know why. Nobody's ever explained that to me. Maybe you know.
I don't know if anybody knows, but it does seem to have a life of its own, and it will die after about so many, I think after 1,000 years or so. It started to die in India, it's starting to die in Japan, it's been dying, it's died in China, and it will die in the West too, and it just keeps moving. But I love what you said, and that is that the basis of Buddhism is its ability to adapt to a culture, just like water to any container. And every time it moves from culture to culture, it adapts. Well, one of the things that I think is different than when when Buddhism went from India to China, with this leap, is this is the Western world. And so for the first time, we've got East and West united. And how could it be complete without both East and West? just like north and south. You know, we've got the 4 quadrants of the planet. We've got east, west, north, and south. And every aspect, if it's not there, it's not going to be complete. So I think we're in an amazing time right now where East and West are really merging for the first time. And why I say now is while Buddhism was in the hands of those that came from Asia, and basically in Zen, it's now, there aren't too many Zen teachers left from Asia. There are Tibetan teachers, but not so many Zen teachers. It's now in the hands of Westerners. And because of that, it's an integration of East and West. And we're going to make moves and make movement that was never, ever even conceived of before.
Yet Buddhism has barely scratched the surface of American society. And
that's right.
The whole point of this project that we have, of Vast Sky, is to dig deeper below that surface and allow it to reach a broader base.
That's right. And to get beyond. It's always about getting beyond our own way, our own thoughts, our own ideas, our own concepts, and really do something of value beyond all this. I just think it's just an exciting and amazing time. And like you said, Buddhism has only scratched the surface. I mean, this is just the beginning, really. What I also see happening right now, which I find really amazing, is I think that what we're going to find is there's going to be an integration, as I mentioned earlier today, of big mind and traditional Zen, and we're going to find something at the apex that moves beyond anything that I've conceived of or we've conceived of before. And for me, that's very exciting. Every time we make a leap like this, it's very exciting.